In our last video, we looked at when can we multiply matrices, and we saw that the number of columns in our first matrix has to be the same as the number of rows in our second matrix. So in our next example here, we're actually going to multiply our matrices and look at our process there. And before we do that, let's double check and make sure we can actually multiply our matrices. We want to do matrix V is this and matrix W is here. What is V times W? I want to take V times W. Let's start off by thinking about what are the dimensions for matrix V. I have 2 rows, 2 columns. Matrix W, same thing. I have 2 rows and 2 columns. So really you could go off of they're the same dimensions, we can multiply. But just kind of refresh what you saw in the last video. These inside numbers are the same. The number of columns matches the number of rows in my next matrix. So we can do this multiplication. All right, let's take a look at the process now. And I'll do an example here of a 2 by 2 matrix times a 2 by 2 matrix. In my next example 4b, I'll do matrix multiplication where it's not just a 2 by 2. All right, before we start here, I am going to try to find a highlighter, which I know I have in my bag somewhere. Maybe. There we go. Okay, I am going to highlight my first row here. Okay. And then I'm also going to highlight my first column. And I'll do this for our first couple just so you can kind of see the process, and then I'll probably run out of colors, but that gets us started anyway. In order to multiply matrices, I'm going to start off with my first row in the first matrix, in the first column in my next matrix. Okay. My first entry in my top left corner, I find by taking -4 times 2. So -4 times 2 is -8. And I'm going to add that to 0 times -1. Okay, so again, -4 times 2 plus 0 times -1. This is my top left corner of my matrix. My next entry, my next number in my matrix, I find with the same first row, but my second column now. So I'll take -4 times 2, it's -8 again, plus 0 times 3. Anytime you're multiplying matrices, you're really multiplying 2 numbers and then adding another set of numbers that were multiplied. These 2 numbers form the first row of my resulting matrix. To get my second row, I'm going to do the same thing, but with the second row in my original matrix, which I'll highlight in blue now. So I'll take 3, this first row, times this first column. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 5 times -1 is -5. And then my bottom right corner here is 3 times 2 plus 5 times 3. Last little bit we can do is actually add these numbers together. -8 plus 0 is -8. Same thing here. 6 plus -5 is 1, and then 6 plus 15 is 21. That's our matrix multiplication. Like I said, example 4b, I'll do matrix multiplication again, but instead of a 2 by 2, we'll look at some other dimension.